What is going on, everybody? And welcome to the 1% podcast. I'm joined by the man himself, the legend that is Ben. Welcome to the podcast, buddy. Mate, just kind of give a little bit of, most people that will probably listen to this probably actually already know you, to be fair. So, but to anyone that's listening, just kind of, who's Ben? What do you do, man?
I'm a bloke.
Simple. And we can move on.
Yeah. Next step. So I'm Ben Mark. I am a fitness photographer and content creator.
Simples.
Yeah, I suppose obviously as the prior to this conversation's obviously leading on to more and more. Yeah, basically I specialize in taking people on photo shoots, improving their confidence, growing their business, capturing kind of milestones, and just helping people to make their lives a bit simpler in the sense, especially when it comes to the business PT side of things, of obviously just making their life simpler to attract new clients and keep relevant and keep attention on their work.
Simples. Obviously kind of going more into what you do, and that's kind of the photo shoot side of things. It's a very typical thing. What do you think kind of is the three, like peak, like you shoot, I get mostly women. Do you shoot mostly women? Like
I probably get a high percentage. To be honest, I've never looked. I've never, like, there's no tick box to say whether you're male or female on my website. I couldn't tell you how many people. I probably do shoot with slightly more females. It's probably about 65, 70, 65. Yeah, about 60, 70% females, I suppose.
Yeah. And what do you think kind of like when people approach you and things like that, people want to do a photo shoot? It's kind of like, it's the thing, right? Like we live in that world now of digital marketing. That's how you market yourself. And at the end of the day, people want to look nice. What do you think kind of the three biggest barriers that people face coming into shooting with you?
Number one would have to be other people's opinions. Like the biggest thing is they're like, I don't know, I'm just going to pick some random names out here. Like, let's say Sarah's doing a photo shoot and she's so worried what her friend Jessica will think of them. Yet Jessica's probably got very little impact on what's going to happen after those photos have done. But they've just put their opinion on a pedestal. And that's probably the biggest thing that I get. And you soon see the unlock of when they see themselves in the photo shoot and going, actually, I'm doing this. All of a sudden, that person's opinion's just irrelevant. They're like, actually, why am I worried? The second thing is the one thing I'm dealing with a lot at the moment is like PTs who aren't in shape, but realize they need to show themselves off, and being comfortable and understanding in the fact that it's attention and a story, not abs and biceps all the time. Don't get me wrong, like you got someone like Charlie Johnson, like obviously in good shape all year round. Obviously you stay in pretty good shape all year round, but like it's that thing of like not all of them have been in it long enough, like where they've been building muscle and doing it for so long that they can just go into a bit of an off season and still look muscular. Some people just lose a lot of that and they have to diet hard again. And I think it's getting people to see, especially from the business point of view, that what they're trying to do is get attention on their page and get people seeing them, not just be, oh, hey, look, I've got great abs or I've got a great bum.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, with guys as well. I mean, I do shoot a lot of guys that are doing more content shoots, and a lot of them are like, oh, I haven't really got lean. Like, can I do a load of press ups before? And I'm like, dude, like, people just want to see your image and they suddenly go, oh, look, there he is. And then boom. I think it gets very overlooked, the fact that, like, you know, people have to go through these journeys in life. Like, if you're super lean and you're like super restricted with your diet, or not restricted, but like regimented, like with your focus on what you're eating and all that type of stuff, like it's great. And I fully like hands up to people that can do that. Most of the public can't.
No,
and so like it's getting people to understand that, okay, you're going to do some photo shoots when you're not lean. And that's kind of where the body confidence photo shoots came from. It's like, especially for females feeling good in their own skin when they're in their underwear and maybe not being as lean as possible. And then obviously some people use it because they want to be as lean as possible, but like that's where it came from, to like install that kind of confidence in people to say, hey, you can still look good and feel good, even when you're you know, not as lean as you wanted to be. And the third thing, I suppose the posing's typically quite a big problem.
Oh yeah, never
like people not really like knowing what to do with themselves. Like some people just naturally don't feel too bad about it, or like, especially with guys, I mean, there's only so much you're going to do. It's not really like you're getting booty shots with guys and stuff like that. When it comes to females, obviously they want to know like how to make their legs look good, how to make their bum look good, how to make their back look good at the same time. So there's a lot more twisting and turning, but I still get a lot of guys going, mate, I'm bricking it. And I'm like, all you literally have to do is stand over there, pretty much tense your tricep a little bit and look to the left, and we've got a shot of you.
Yeah.
Girls have to have their hair this way, like, you know, and I'm not saying girls are harder work. It's just obviously there's a lot more, I suppose, a lot more pressure put onto them to look as good as they can. And obviously, I'm one of these people who doesn't try and push for everyone to be like, you have to want to look like the best, and we have to do like the very, very top of everything. But at the same time, you still want to put the effort in to make sure they look as good as possible. And I think posing often comes to a point where I go, I just stand like a tree. I don't know what to do. Yeah. And so often it's a little bit like, can we pose you around? Can we move you around a little bit to just get that more out of you? And that's what people often get struggles on.
I think that's the biggest thing that I found, even just shooting with you, and like even Holly, she said the same thing. It was just like, I think people think photographers are like these drill sergeants and things like that. Like that, it's like you're doing a catwalk fucking show, and it's like you need to be like here, your foot needs to be turned at this angle. I'm like, the biggest thing that I found shooting with you is the easiest thing in the world. Like you're very relaxed, like, and like you make it a very comfortable experience, because it is like generally like getting your picture taken and like trying to look the part that we're trying to portray in a sense, is it can be intimidating, and I fully get that as well, especially from a female point of view. Like females from day one, it's like, well, do you look like a model sort of thing? I think that's what people still think, and I'm like, we live in this different era now where actually it generally doesn't matter, and you make it a very comfortable environment to be around, regardless if it's in the middle of the street and people are walking down, it's a fucking busy high street, you still make it super relaxed.
I think that the thing for me is I've never really understood why you need to make it tense, because no one enjoys that situation. Like we all get enough pressure in our lives, and it's a bit different if you're stood on stage, right? But then realistically, the photographer isn't guiding you. You're posing, and the photographer's just snapping away shots.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're in that position where you can, you know, and as we advance with the photography stuff, and obviously you've got the studios and you can see the photos, you can go, oh, that tricep shot looks good. I want to tweak it a little bit because I think I can pop a little bit more. I can do this. Whereas when you're doing the lifestyle shots, it's meant to be about you and your lifestyle. It's not meant to be about like perfection. This might make some people laugh. Why make you laugh? I was saying to a female on a shoot the other day, I was like, me personally, I've been around enough females in my time, let's say privately, and I know that it doesn't always matter whether the female that I'm with is in the best shape. It more matters whether their mind's in the right place to actually be that fun person that they want to be. Yeah. And I said, more often than not, it's not the people who have got the leanest this and this and this. It's the people that are actually more in tune to actually just enjoying who they are. That's when they get the most out of things. And she was like, I've never really thought of it like that. And I was like, well, you wouldn't kind of go into an intimate situation kind of going, well, I better make sure my bum looks good and my triceps look good in this. You'd be going into it to just enjoy yourself. And I was like, well, I want you to feel good in yourself. And I also realized, like, I often talk to people about this, like, from my side, I heard a comedian years ago saying, it's kind of stuck with me. It's almost like I suppose, like from the when you're like a comedian, talking about sex is often that thing that like, hey, people can't do that. But I often think if I can kind of break some of those like little, like have a little bit of a chat with people and get inside their head and get them thinking in a way that's like, actually, I see what he means. That often then makes people feel like they're a mate.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like, actually, I've known him for years because I can talk about that type of stuff, which you wouldn't talk about with people. Yeah. And it's not because I'm some like sex crazy like bloke that's just like, I want to know everyone's like secrets. But it's more just the fact that I know that if I can get to talk to someone on a level where they feel comfortable with me, they're probably going to be more relaxed in the photos. Then you get the more natural shots. When you get the more natural shots, they've got the better photos that they want. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this wasn't as bad. And then they learn to love themselves a little bit more. So they go away from the shoot going, I literally like, I get so many females messaging me, and this isn't me being big-headed, this is just being honest. Like, oh, I've never felt as confident as when I do coming off of a photo shoot. Yeah. Like, I literally feel buzzing. And it's like, for me, all I've done is done my job, what I know as my job to be. They get to go away feeling like I feel incredible. And especially, I suppose, from a male point of view, as males who are interested in females, it's amazing to be able to do that to someone and just go, you feel great. Like with Holly's shoot, she walked away and she went, I feel great. Yeah. I feel amazing. You know, and it's amazing to be able to do that. Apologies to anyone that can hear my son screaming downstairs. He's recently learned to scream. And as you probably hear, my wife obviously telling him to please stop. But yeah, and that's the thing with it, is like, it's, for me, it's hugely rewarding to be able to make people feel good, whether they're female or male. And I just don't see why everything needs to be super intense.
Yeah. And I think that's the nice thing. Well, technically our jobs are the same sort of thing, really, isn't it? It's like, at the end of the day, like you say, like you can get people in incredible shape, vice versa, but a body doesn't define, it doesn't define you. That's literally it. Like it doesn't.
No. And also, like, you can tweak change through the figure, that give it enough time, you can, you know, get the bum you want or get the back you want. And like, yeah, okay, we're not going to go into the realms of like suddenly like boob jobs and all that type of stuff, but like, you can work hard and grind that body out to find and get close as possible to what you want. But are you going to spend the next 3 years being bloody miserable about it, saying I don't look like this yet? Or can you actually enjoy yourself and go, I'm getting closer to it, and actually I'm going to celebrate that?
Yeah, 100%. And that's the nice thing about doing shoots as well. It's like, I've said to clients, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like if you have a goal, if you want to come in with abs or your glutes are popping, you've got veins everywhere, you can do that. But also you can just look the best you've ever felt in your life. That's literally it. Like when you work towards something like that, it's going to be the best you've ever looked and felt. It's going to be that uncomfortable situation of getting in front of a camera that you never thought was possible. But actually, when you do it, like you say, the confidence in yourself flies. Stuff that you never thought was possible or completely out your comfort zone. You do it and you're like, holy shit, like that is doable. And like the image is looking great because everyone does it. And they like, you go into it and you're like, oh, you know, like I just don't look that great. Things like that. Everyone has that self-doubt. But as soon as you look at the images and you're like, oh, shit, I look all right. I've done that loads of time. When you just flip the camera around at me, I was like, oh, actually, I'm all right, sort of thing. And it's a crazy thought, really.
Also, like a lot of people, I say to people, like when they're on the shoots, I was like, would you have done this 3 months ago?
Yeah.
No, you do it today though, wouldn't you? Because look, you worked bloody hard for this. Like let's show it off. And I think like if you don't, suppose like select those goals and actually achieve them, then you're in a place where like you just never settle for it, and then you just spend most of your life being miserable because you just think, oh, I'm never going to look as good as this person. I had someone on a shoot the other day like ask me, oh, how do I grow something, like, you know, how do I get the same amount of like clients as someone else? And I was just like, stop trying to be like someone else and just be the best version of you and watch how happy you become. And they were like, oh, I don't understand what you mean by that. I was like, well, if you never get to their level, and they're talking about someone who like achieves massive results, we're talking business wise as well, you're never going to get there, because all you're doing is, it's almost like comparison. It's like I was actually listening to an audio book. I've started getting into them because of the amount of driving I've been doing.
Sick.
And it was one of those things where someone was saying that like the guy went to I think it's called The Infinite Game, and basically it's really quite interesting because it's basically saying about like that this guy went to a talk at Microsoft, and all they kept, or like 60%, 80% of the people that were talking, all they were talking about was how Microsoft could beat Apple. Whereas he went to the Apple one and it said, how can we improve the lives of our clients, our customers? And that was their view on it. And it was like, well, if you're constantly just comparing yourself to other people, which is effectively what you're doing, if you kind of don't think you look good enough all the time, you're just comparing yourself to others. Whereas if you were able to put a cardboard cutout of yourself 3 months ago stood by you and you're 12, 15, 20 kilos heavier, and you look at yourself now and go, which one would you do a photo shoot? You go with this lean one, and you go, well, there we go.
Yeah.
So I think that's the important thing of it, is like realizing that you've done something. And also like me, and like the whole reason my business has come about was my weight loss journey. It made me realize I could. That was it.
I think the biggest thing that people struggle with nowadays, like you've literally named like 3 things that people struggle with nowadays. But what I'm finding is that people don't believe they can. And I don't know why that is, because we live in a world now where actually fucking everything is possible. And maybe because it is possible, it doesn't seem realistic, or it doesn't seem touchable. Like we know now we have all the science and all the like methods to get as lean as possible, to have more muscle mass. We have the skills to become like the knowledge. We can literally just message someone who's a multimillionaire and potentially learn how to be a multimillionaire. Like we have all that on tap. So what is the reason that people are being held back so much? Is it because, like you say, is it because they give a shit what people think? Is it because it's not truly what they want and they're trying to morph into something else? It's like, if I just started out photography, I'm like, oh, like I'm a year in the game. Why don't I have as much, like, why don't I have a good as portfolio as Ben? I'm like, dude, you've been doing it a year. Like, he's been fucking taking pictures for the last,
This will make you smile. Like, let me jump in there, right? So I coach photographers as well. And one of my coaching clients, he'd been working for a year, like literally at the point when we started working together. And he said, oh man, it's getting there, but it's just so slow. Like, it's just nowhere near. Like, I look up at you guys. He thought that if he had 10 shoots in a month, he'd be busy. And I was like, that's cool, bud. Like, I would get annoyed if I had less than 6 a week, and not been at that level. And he said, oh, I just don't know if I can ever get there. And I said to him, I said, out of interest, buddy, like, this is your first year of making money. How much have you earned this year? And he went, it's about 2.5 grand. I said, in my first year, I made 1,400. So you're better off than me. Well, actually, 1,800, if I'm being factual. And I said, you're doing better than me. So I said, in 5-6 years' time, I'd like to still see you doing better than me. And you should have seen the difference in him. All of a sudden, he was like, the thing is with it, I'm not going to blame social media. That social media's got nothing to do with it. It's people. It's always been people.
yeah,
Right? People are like, oh, there's so many more stabbings and fatalities around the world. No, it's just because we can see more of it now, because everyone's got access to all of it. Okay, everyone wants all this access, and then they don't want all of it. I think the thing is, if it is, it's like, it's either judgment of others, it's the lack of self-belief comes probably down the line of family that have never tried to push it for anything bigger or better. Or it's just the fact that you just don't surround yourself with the people that can show you, like, or can potentially put you in that space.
Yeah.
And then, like, saying to yourself, if you're not around those people, saying to yourself, hey, I'm not happy with this anymore. This isn't the life for me. Like, I can't keep seeing these people because all they want to do is drink. I can't keep seeing these people because all they want to do is, like, improve their business. All they want to relax. Like, if that's not the right circle for you and what you need, like, you have to find those circles of people, and that's the hard thing to do. But, like, over the last 4 years, I've gone from being in full-time employment where I worked on the golf tour, traveled around Europe with a bunch of 40 to 50-year-old dudes who were all moaning about never being at home enough, and, you know, not seeing their family and not having enough money to go and do, like, anything too wild and crazy or whatever like that. And all they did was moan about it. And I listened to them, and I was like, if all they're saying is that basically in 10, 20 years' time, when I'm their age, this is what my life's going to be like, why would I bother following it?
Yeah.
Why would I bother doing exactly the same things that they've done? All they've done is complain about it. So I changed my circle. I put myself around other people. All of a sudden, look, it changed and grew. And then all of a sudden, I was like, actually, I need to go bigger and bigger. And then, like, things like the OTE and stuff like that, like, have obviously put me in touch with more people. And then all of a sudden, like, you're like, look at the difference in my life.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I won't go into the figures of my business, but if you told me when I started my business or left full-time employment in 2017 when I left, if you told me that I was effectively going to nearly 10x what I earned,
Yeah.
I literally would have laughed in your face.
This is
Now I'm struggling to find time to fit more in because I've got more opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal, but all it is just a change in what you're around and who you're around.
I think this is the biggest thing that I don't know why more and more again, like I'm seeing it again. It comes down to kind of like self-belief, self-doubt, all that sort of stuff, right? That's one topic. But the other one goes down to, I've literally just lost my train of thought and it's gone. Shit, that was so good.
Yeah, I don't know whether you're going to say it. I think the other thing that people really lack is a reason why.
Yeah. And then it comes, I think it's like, it's people, I got it. It's people thinking like, I didn't achieve this yesterday. And I'm like, well, if we look at your business right now and we look at your progress over the last, let's say 2 years, and we break it down, you're like, holy shit, right? It's simple maths. Like sometimes when we look at it, like, you could go from like, right, I started my online coaching business last April sort of thing. And I'm like, well, we're in May. So it's been a year and so much shit has changed. So actually sometimes be like, dude, like, because you haven't made it in 6 months, I'm like, look how much, sometimes it's just like slide back, take a sit back and just be like, fuck, like, where was I last week? Where was I 6 months ago? Holy shit, my life is changing. It's only in 2 years, a year, whatever it is. I'm like, dude, you're going to be on another planet for another 60, 70 years. If you keep growing at the rate you're growing, you'd burn out. So sometimes you almost need to slow down in order to build stuff behind to like back you to go again.
Yeah, 100%. And it's that thing as well. Like I was saying to my wife the other day, like for the first time ever in our lives, I mean, you know, I'd saved, I'd put money away, I'd been sensible. We've obviously had our son. Well, obviously, like we had a son in September last year, just after Christmas. I know actually it was January. I was able to put enough cash into our, because I'd literally been sensible with my money. I put enough cash into our account that we could live in our house for nearly 2 years and not have to pay any more bills.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And like, then I sat there and went, "Oh, this has just changed my life." Like, I was always living paycheck to paycheck. I was always worrying about, I was always like blaming everyone for everything. And I was just like, no, I just grabbed hold of my bollocks and I just went, you know what, Ben, you can do this. And like, it was just the fact that like I see other people doing it. I think there's so many other people doing it that make mistakes, do it wrong. Like, so just join them. And like, you're going to always make mistakes. Like, you're always going to do things wrong. You'll have a diet and you'll make a mistake one night because you'll kind of go out with your mates and you'll have a couple of beers and it'll be like, oh, this is the worst thing in the world. And then you kind of go, okay, I've been an idiot. Let's just rectify this. I'm going to go over the top and do a bit extra. So you know what? Then I can say at the end of it, did make a mistake then, but actually I may want to made up for it. And now look at me and look at what I've done. But I think like, I obviously this is going to sound very, to any fathers or mothers out there, this is obviously going to be like massive for you and you'll understand and relate to this. A lot of other people go, here we go, kid talk. Seeing my son come out and probably, honestly, for the first 2 months, I was still a little bit like I didn't really know what to do because it was just this little thing that just sat in front of me and didn't really do anything. I've never been so driven in my life.
Yeah.
Like knowing that there's a future for him to be had, and like, you know, I'd like to put us into a house that's bigger where we've got more space for him and the dog to be able to play, and if we have any more children, and you know, to, you know, just have a nicer life and stuff. And it's like, it's amazing what that's done for me and the amount of less nonsense that I look at. I tell you, one of the best things I ever did was reduce the amount of people I follow on Instagram to 96.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
need
the
to
amount of,
do that. Yeah.
oh mate, it's bliss. You literally refresh and one person comes up and you're like, move on. I'm not worried about, and like, you know, so many people don't add value to you. Like, and some people obviously do, like some people have really good advice and all that stuff. Obviously, the amount of people that you end up following and you just go, wow, why am I following all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, this really isn't getting anywhere. And just clearing your brain of just all that stuff. But generally having a big reason why, like I can't look my wife and my son in the face and tell them I'm not doing good enough.
Yeah. But this is the sometimes like we like, so we can relate this, right? Me and you both want to have, it doesn't matter who you are, want to have more muscle and we want to be leaner, right? That's just fact. Like everyone wants to do that. But there's a big reason and our history drives us. So you had a past, you went paycheck to paycheck, and now it's like, oh shit, now I'm responsible for a family. There's much deeper why you want to achieve and keep achieving. Number one, you enjoy kind of when you kind of get into it, you enjoy the process of almost suffering sort of thing. But it's exactly the same. It's like people are like, why did you start like weight training? I'm like, dude, like I was the most insecure kid on the planet. I did it because I felt like I had to fit in. And then I was like, I actually kind of enjoyed it. I saw results. And then I fell in love with it because it's my fuel in the past was like, my inner insecurity still drives that. And I love that. And that's it. Yeah. And then you just kind of just fall in love with like that process of it. And if you
But
said,
that's your reason why, isn't it?
yeah, that's it.
That's
And
the
then,
reason why you keep pushing.
yeah, and it is just, and don't get me wrong, your why it kind of like tweaks a little bit along the way because you add more fuel to your fire sort of thing. And it's almost like saying goals are always changing, like daily goals, weekly goals, yearly goals. Like we all have those little milestones we want to achieve. But I love how like every podcast we do, it always comes back to a few things. And the biggest one, your fucking environment. And it is just, I cannot stress like how important that crap is. Like, even when you think like, you know, if you feel a bit down and things like that, I'm like, sometimes take that realistic step back and be like, who is bringing me value? Who is lifting me up? Who is helping me? Who is supporting me? sometimes think of it like a little, like the best thing is almost like a boardroom. Like we all have people in a boardroom for a certain purpose, right? You have your CEO, you have your marketing directors, all that sort of stuff. So each people in your life have a purpose. So sometimes like actually just sit and make sure, like, have you got a good boardroom around you that's going to help your, I don't know, your company or yourself grow?
Yeah, exactly. It's silly, like even things like we've just employed a cleaner
Oh, mate,
to
so good, isn't it? It's so good.
take the pressure off. Like, I'm terrible at it. If I don't do a good job, it upsets my wife. If the cleaner does a bad job, she can have a go at them, and it's nothing to do with me. And also, I don't want my wife cleaning. I want her enjoying the time with Dylan, and he's not screaming in her face. Like, it'd be lovely to, but and obviously once now COVID and lockdowns are kind of opening up again, like to get out and do stuff and just live life.
Yeah.
It's I I honestly can't. I can, but I honestly can't tell you how amazing the journey has been over the last few years to find who I am. And I'm still finding that person who I am. But also, it made me realize just how much you can achieve and what you can be. Like, there's so many people that I used to work with who are still doing the same job, like, still going to moan about it, still be like, oh, this is just crap. And I'm like, well, like nobody's forcing you to do anything. Like, no one's telling you have to do this. Like, if you don't want to do it, you don't do it. But like, like there's some restrictions within travel, but like you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Move up the country, go and live around, like, move up north from down south, because typically northerners are a bit more light-hearted.
Yeah.
They're a bit more happy and a bit more like kind of, some of them can be quite blunt, but then some people down south can be quite blunt.
Yeah.
But actually, like, if you're not happy in your little inner circle, and like it can be like massively overwhelming to change all of that. Like, I even like had to have quite a stiff conversation with my mum. She still doesn't really like kind of take it all in, but I had to do a spreadsheet, um, talking to my mum about my business plan, and she kept telling me, "No, stay with a full time employment. Like, it's safe, it's secure." And I was like, "That's fine, but I can potentially do more and have more time off and earn more money just by following this." And she was kind of like fighting me, like even 6 months down the line, even when I was proving to her that it was working, she's like, "Are you sure? Like, you can go back." And I literally spent a whole year, and this is like me doing a spreadsheet is like saying to you, I go and like people's hair. I'm just terrible. It's not my thing, right? I did this spreadsheet and I proved it to her, and I just said, "Look, this is what I'm capable of doing, and this is just year one."
Yeah. That's yeah.
Like, and it's sometimes those conversations that then allow people to go, you know what, like, you've actually proved this, like, you worked hard on yourself. Like, what have we got to, like, and then people go, "Oh, actually you have changed." You go, "Yeah, and I have." And then you walk away going, "I'm becoming the person I want to be."
Yeah. Massively. And I think, like, I don't know if you said it on here, if it was just before, but sometimes you just have to grab your fucking nuts and just go for it. Like, ladies, you can, I don't know, you can grab something else, but like, same concept, right? But it is like, as soon as I don't know, you do have those little moments where the light bulb flicks or the switch goes on, sort of thing. But I had one like not that long ago, maybe like a month ago, where I'm like, fuck, everything's my fault. Everything's my responsibility. Everything's my choice. Like, everything. Like, you literally just said it, and it was just like, you are fully in control. And as soon as you have that moment, you're like, holy crap, like, anything is touchable. That's it. And but also just being like, actually, for me, it's like sometimes it's hanging around like the guys that we hang around with technically, or that we network with. I'm like, do I actually want to go that high? Do I really want to? Is that me? Sometimes I'm like, I've said, actually, I don't. I generally don't want to, in a sense, succeed to that level, right? It's knowing what you actually want from life. And it's absolutely fine. But always dream bigger than you think. Like, even when I talk about goals, it's like, well, what's realistic? And sometimes I'm like, fuck realistic now. I'm like, I said it to someone started the other day. How many times a week do you realistically want to train? Like, how long for the X amount of weeks? And it was just like 3. And then I just thought, actually, scrap that. I was like, how badly do you want something? How badly do you want this? And she was like a 9 out of 10. And I was like, cool, fuck, 3 times a week. Let's go 4. And she was like, yeah, we can do that. I was like, perfect. So sometimes it's just being like, actually, just can aim that little bit higher. Because
I think that the hardest thing of it for most people is changing routine.
yeah,
Like that's the bit that kind of takes so long. And like I'm not the greatest at it myself, but like I'm also, I mean, weirdly, like I used to sleep longer when, well, not weirdly, obviously everyone knows if you have kids, you never sleep as much as you did, but like it's because Dylan, when we first had him and like started waking up about 5:30, I now naturally wake up at 5:30 every day. I was even up at like 4:45 this morning because I was just like, I woke up.
I'm ready for him to be awake.
I'm ready. And then like I've gone over and he's like sleeping. I'm like, well, now I'm awake. I might as well just go out. I went to the gym first thing this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, for me, like this is actually like a little bit of time to do it. And like, I can't wait for him to settle into a bit more of a routine where he sleeps the whole night through. And then Jade and I can have a bit more time together in the evenings. And obviously, like that's one of the big things that like people struggle with is that routine change. And if you can build a system and a structure around that, I've always thought, we also know Craig Ballantyne that did podcast on, did a show on the OTE.
Yeah.
Like his thing, I coached with him. He was my first business coach, and he had the Monday to Sunday where you had Monday to Sunday written in columns. You'd have your wake up time, then you go to bedtime, and you'd literally just plan out your week. You just look at your week and go, what do I typically do in these times? And often people say, oh, I haven't got enough time or I haven't got this. And you put it into that system and go, well, actually, I'm going to walk the dog this time. I'm going to go to the gym this time. This is the time I'm going to train. And all of a sudden, like you suddenly look at it and go, I have got a lot of time. Or I can do this. Or actually, I don't enjoy doing that task. Can I get someone else to do it? Because that's going to get me closer to my thing. And if your life's constantly on there, well, I just need to do this because that's the way I survive, then you're always just going to be caught in this survive mentality instead of like thrive. It's like actually like how can I change my life to go and thrive? How can I go into, if that meant that you're going to get a pay rise at work, if that means you're going to get the body you want, if that means you're going to find the business that you want, like you have to look at how you can build yourself a system and structure. And I'm terrible with systems. Like it's my biggest struggle because I love just being that like spontaneous dude that just to make things happen, and it happens. But the more I've built this system around me and kept some sort of, I suppose, spontaneity plus like the amount of people that have shopped with me and they go, I've bought 3 normal outfits and I bought something over the top because I know you're probably going to ask me if I've got something. And I'm like, that's the type of person I want to be with because you bought all of the box tickers and then you bought something else that's going to make us like go, yeah, this was cool.
Yeah.
And so the more I've built that around me and built this system around me where I can have the time to do these things, obviously, like as my business has grown, I'm needing to employ staff to then effectively buy back some of that time.
Yeah.
But the whole reason of all of this is to then allow me to then keep being that person that's important to me and to my son and to my wife. And I know that if I'm not in a good place with myself, then the whole lot, like you said, I'm to blame for everything.
Yeah. Oh, mate, you nailed it as well. Like, so there's like a couple of things like time blocking, something that I found just really good. So like, say for example, you have like, I don't in a day, for example. So tonight I'll write down what needs to be done for tomorrow, sort of thing. And I just literally write number 1 priority, 2, 3, like 3 things max in a day, sort of 3 big tasks. And I literally just time block them. So I'm like, right, how long does it, you could do it for anything. How long does it take to work out? Right, time block that. You're going to go to the gym for an hour and a half. Boom. Time block that 3 to 4 times a week. Cool, it's done. It's booked in. You just know for that hour and a half, that's your workout time. Vice versa. It could be like, it could be writing, it could be reading, it could be anything. Time blocking things massive. And then you realize, because then you're focused for that period of time. And then you're like, oh God, I was wasting like 20 minutes just scrolling through my phone, or I was wasting time on this when I could have been prepping some meals, when I could have been doing something, whatever it be in life. That's a massive thing, hugely. But like you say, it's like people need to do stuff that's uncomfortable in order for them. Like if you generally want to achieve anything, results, business, body, anything, if you clearly something you're doing now isn't working. So what needs to change in order for you to get results, whatever that may be? You got to get uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable and you've got to get out that comfort zone hugely. That's it. Simple as.
The best thing I ever did was got comfortable with being uncomfortable.
It's the best phrase, isn't it? Like every day, just try and do something that's a little bit scary or out your comfort zone.
Yeah, just like, like we used to work in Morocco. I'm not being funny, like it's the only place I've gone to in the world where I'm like, wow, this is chaos. Not this isn't a direct thing to the Moroccans or anything like that. It was just we went to some of the souks, We went to like some like the mall type stuff, and it was just like bedlam. And then on the actual job itself, there was so many weird and wonderful ways around the way they did things. And then like in the evenings, it was like you were just left to kind of go and rummage for yourself. And it was like, wow, I remember being put there and just being like, this is crazy. Hang on, if I can do this. And Morocco is actually the point where I realized I wanted to start doing the photography and posting on Instagram more regularly. And it's really weird. My mind always goes back to that being in the gym. I was actually taking a photo self myself because I'd only just done my second diet with Adam. That I realized I was like, this lighting looks quite cool. Got a photo of myself, like my tricep was looking good or something like that. I got this photo of myself and I was like, man, I'm going to start following this and doing this a bit more regularly. And that was the start of it.
Yeah.
And like, it's going back to those things. I remember being there, like I was trying to diet. I'll never forget it because the only place I could find to eat that was like healthy was a place called Coq Magic.
Of
But
course.
it was French called COQ. So all my receipts for that week were just Coq Magic for the week. Um, it was like their Nando's effectively. It was
Oh,
the
okay.
only place I could find that was easy to like to get just decent food.
Yeah.
And literally, I just remember I'll never forget it. It was just the start of it, and I was just like, wow, like this is really where I'm going with all of this lot.
Yeah.
And so, but it was in that uncomfortable place. And the reason why I remember it is because I won't go into the story, so not that anyone from the business would ever know about this, but like we had this bit of a situation. Well, no, it wasn't anything the way that they do the customs thing. There was a bit of paper that you handed in when you got to the docks, and if you didn't have that bit of paper when you got back, it was almost like you'd sold or traded the vehicle when you were over there, even though we were sat inside of it. And they weren't going to let us back over to Spain on the boat because we didn't have this paper. And we actually had to get like a royal pardon. Like it went that far. And luckily, the golf course we were working on was to do the Royals, and that was what like it. And that was what I meant. Like it was almost like I wasn't going to get home, wasn't going to be able to fly home because my name was attached to this thing. And it was just literally a bit of paper that just flew off. But this was the way their system worked.
Yeah.
And it was being in that uncomfort, and it was just like, well, actually, if we get out of this, we've done all right. And it was those little moments where you just go, like, wow. And the other reason, it was at the same time, I don't like it was like one of those mental times in your life. You know, when you suddenly look back and go, what on earth happened over the last few months? We'd been in Bahrain, and that was when all the military kicked off over there. Then we got to Morocco. We went to Sicily, and that was when I want to say Gaddafi started all the war over there, and they wanted to fire tracer missiles from from Sicily over to Tripoli to see if they could hit it, just in case there was a. And we were on a golf course. We're like, what? Like now you're included us in the war now. This isn't good. And then we drove around to Morocco, got to the port, and then that happened. And I was like, the last 3 months, I've literally like swear someone's trying to like get rid of me. And it's those types of things where I was like, I can do something different about this.
Yeah.
And it's all those moments where you just think like all of that stuff I had to go through, and then I just got on with it because I had to. And then you suddenly go, wow, like now I've got through all of that. Like now when stuff happens, like I've got a list of stuff that I need to do after this call.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, no, I know like deep down we'll get it all sorted. We'll find a solution because I'm not doing all of this not to just mug people off. It's like, no, we'll find solutions to get these things done. Like actually improving people and doing better for people and making their lives better is what is important to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like you said, that's the thing as well. Like, you know, your why sort of thing. It's quite funny. Like, well, like I jumped off a call with a client yesterday, got made redundant pretty much like that, like straight up. And you can look at that two ways, right? You can look at that like, fuck me, I'm made redundant in like an economy crisis, like this whole pandemic thing. You can look at that from like, right, I'm just going to curl up and just rot. Or you can be like, well, I don't have a choice. I got to fight. I got to get out of this. I got to get a new job. I got to keep pushing on. And we looked at it in a format like, actually, dude, like we've got 2 months off. Like you've got 2 months now of actually, you're going to be paid out. You're going to do this. Like we've got 2 months of like, it's finally time that we needed just to flip your life upside down. We were coming up with all these excuses before. We weren't executing on X, Y, and Z because of this and that. You've been given 2 months to change your life. That's it. Like, how do you, like, you can take that whatever you want to do. Like, if someone's got, like, you could do that with a week off work. You've got a few days off work. What's the stuff that really needs to be done that's going to help you progress in life?
if I got 2 months off of work now, I think I'd go stir crazy with
Oh mate, yeah.
just, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. But it's funny, isn't it? Like back when I was working full time, if someone said to me, take 2 months off, I'd be like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the best thing that's ever happened. Now, if I took 2 months off, I think after about 2 weeks, I'd go a bit stir crazy going, hang on, this just doesn't feel right. But then also, like, you know, we've actually booked our first holiday to go to Portugal. Um, the last time we went away was when we were in Dubai, not November last year, but the year before that. And that was when we believe our son was conceived. So the last time we've been on holiday as a couple, like now, obviously, we're going away as a family.
Yeah.
And my wife just said to me, it'd just be nice for you to switch off. And I'm like,
It's not
yeah,
gonna happen.
actually,
It's not gonna happen.
it will. It will.
Yeah, you can do good.
It will. My whole plan is to take a couple of books for me, spend some time with my son.
Nice.
I've already told my PA that she's going to be answering my Instagram stuff, and just if I don't make any sales, so what?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, I think
Like,
that's the most important thing as well, because it doesn't mean like you'll switch off, but also like because you run your own thing, your head still ideas will pop in and out. That's the thing as well. Like I think people always like it's the same when I had the same conversation when it comes to diet. I'm like, you don't need to switch off and things like that. You sometimes just need to put the brakes on. That's it. So instead of going at 90, 100 miles an hour, just put the brakes on and just run at 30 and 40 miles per hour. Sometimes that's just the brake you need. But I think for you, it'll be a massive one because obviously it's the first holiday for little man. Like you've been since it's it that you've had she's been locked up this whole time as well. You've had it actually in a sense quite nice because your relationship's been amazing where you've been able to still fly out here and still kind of like do photo shoots and stuff like that. But obviously, yeah, it'd be nice for you all to have that little break.
I think, like, I mean, since the first lockdown, when generally I was going to be bankrupt and everything went very south. So then, as soon as Boris said we could go back to work, I've probably taken 2-3 days off in a row, back to back. Like that's it. Like I've not taken any more than that since this time last year.
Yeah. Right. Well,
most average people take most people take 20-30 days off. I mean, we had everything we had planned cancelled, and obviously like all these little trips and stuff like that. Like we tried to get Jade away a little bit, but obviously Dylan was too young, and like so there, this is very overdue. So I will make the most of it. But like I said, like now I got to the point where I'm going to go on holiday, and I'm actually going to just be on holiday.
That's great.
And like it's going to be fine because then okay, even if my business does go a little bit like slower or smaller, like I mean, funny the rate I've been going at. Like if I kept going at this rate, I wouldn't be alive in 10 years' time. So,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you need that. That's the thing. You need that downtime. Like that's it. Like work hard, play hard. That's it. That's it. It's always that typical terminology, right? 100%.
yeah, exactly. And then also, but like I've got the bigger picture vision. I've realised that a week off or like a week off is still a drop in the ocean compared to the amount of hours I'm going to work in the future.
That's it. And also this is where it comes down to. It's like, actually, you need this time. I say this to everyone. I'm like, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on before you can help anyone else. Like there's a reason they tell you that on a plane. I'm like, you've got to be in a healthy place, healthy mind, everything to look after your family. If you can keep working if you want to, but it's not going to do your relationship any good. It's not going to do your business any good because you're going to probably lose passion for it. Sometimes you're like, oh, fucking hell, I got to go here and things like that. I got to get up at 5 a.m. So you need to just fucking put that oxygen mask on for yourself, 100%.
Yeah, and also like it's just I think it is just seeing that bigger picture. It's just seeing that actually I need to take more time off, and that was the whole point of like obviously like doing this to be able to have more time off. I've grown something to a place where it's good. And like when I talk about these things, and obviously like I always say to people, I'm never saying it because I'm like some big-headed like guy that like needs to show off about what I'm doing, the amount of work I'm doing, other people. I think like try and say to people, I was just an ordinary guy. Like I started this of just a bloke, as they say, like just a dude who like kind of. I used to shoot BMX and mountain bike photography. I liked it. I moved away from it because it wasn't worth the time I was spending on it to try and pursue it. And also I was coming away from the BMX thing because I was just getting a bit too old to ride anymore. And then I had a great experience working on the golf tour for 10 years where I got to travel around Europe, see loads of cool stuff. I did work a lot and like that had detriment to like my social life and my ex-relationship and all of that type of stuff. actually like all those things happening and all that crap, and like, you know, I mean, I lost 38 kilos the first time I dieted. Like that for me was just like,
Holy shit, that's a fuck ton of weight.
yeah, like that was just like was it 30 or 28?
Mate, either way.
I was 119 kilos and I got down to 83.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that was 30, yeah, about 38 kilos in total. So yeah, that was a lot of cardio, I can tell you that. Adam had me on no carbs. Adam had me on no carbs for the first 6 weeks. I didn't know what happened to me.
I love that's when like ultimate old school bro, Adam being back in the bodybuilder, no carbs, we can do this.
I'll throw a brick at him now if that was the case. But like, yeah, like it's all those things that like I look back and I'm just go like, for all of the crap that happened, I'm so thankful for all of it.
Yeah.
Like it just brought the person out in me that had been dying to come out for 20, 30 years. Like just like I knew I could do things, I knew I could make things happen. But what I'm trying to say with all of this is like, if I'm capable of doing it, then everyone else is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you might be struggling with your diet at the moment, your relationship might not be going right. Like, you know, our son downstairs keeps screaming, my wife's like losing her patience and she's getting ill from it because it's tiring. You know, my business, I'm up all over the place. But then we look at what we've got now. We've got this lovely little house and like, you know, nice car on the drive, and we get to go on holiday, and like, you know, while a lot of other people like haven't got jobs, we're still able to do that. And I'm like, how can you sit there and ever be negative about these things when you've got these good things that are happening, but they've come from all the bad stuff of just getting through it. So like, if you are struggling with your diet, if you are struggling with relationships or business or health or whatever it is, it's like, okay, just look at it and go, this is just someone telling you that you need to change something.
Yeah.
And you need to grab hold of it and go, I need to find a solution and go and make that solution happen.
Yeah. And I think
It might not be pretty.
no,
Make it happen.
it's never going to be. I think it's really important for people to understand as well. Like, it's so easy, like when you're in a bad mindset, to be like, oh, it's easy for you and things like that. I'm like, you've always got to remember that everyone was born exactly the same way. Everyone starts at chapter one, whether that's your fitness, whether it's your photography. You all learn how to turn a camera on. You all learn how to change the settings. Like, we all start from chapter one, and then we read through the chapters, and you earn what you get to. That's literally it. Like, regardless if you come from money, if you come from porn, like pornist, it's not even a word. If you come from like poverty, whatever that may be.
So if you come from porn, I was like, you probably have a lot of money if you come from porn.
That's it. OnlyFans.
Chapter one though, that's disgusting.
This is what we'll do, man. I'll just hire you. We can do like an OnlyFans. We got this. It's it. It's all in place. But yeah, that's it. Like, and it is like, you hear it all the time, like professional footballers coming from nothing. Like, and it is. It's just like you got to have that fire. And you've said it. Like, we all have that fire, regardless of what it is. And maybe you might just have to find it. It's cool, and it's going to change along the way. Like, I love fitness right now. Will I in 5 years' time? Who the fuck knows? Like, but I'm going to have some form of fire and some form of why going forward. And that's it. Simples.
Yeah, and that's what makes when my wife just come in when he's asleep. I was
like, cool. No, it's a good place to wrap up on, to be fair. So it's cool.
No, it's and the thing is, it's that thing of like, I've always said to myself, I know that I've always believed I was destined to do something bigger than what I'm doing, but I don't know. I think I've found it, but I don't know whether that is the final thing. But that also does mean that I know what the next step can be. And then let's learn from there to see what that next step could lead to or what that could be. And I think as long as you've got that fire inside of you to go, can I just find what the best version of me is? Someone might just walk in front of you one day and say, oh, like I'm looking to open up a shop, or I'm looking to be a social media expert, or I'm looking to be a PT. And you suddenly go, you know, I've always wanted to do that. And then maybe you suddenly go, well, you know what, actually, like now's the best time for it.
Yeah.
When I left full-time employment, it wasn't the best time for it. I had enough money saved up. My wife was a bit nervous. My mum was deadly worried. But actually, it was the best time for it.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't done it now, I wouldn't be here today.
There is never a best time, is there? It's like, when's the best time to have a child? When we have a little bit of money, but who cares, right?
Not when you're tired.
And also, it's like, when's the best time to break up with someone? Someone's going to get hurt. Doesn't matter what day you do it on, or if it's in a day's time or a year's time, someone's going to get hurt. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So it's just like, sometimes as well, like people have all these incredible ideas and people, cool, I've got this great idea. I'm like, execute on it. Go do it. Because guess what? Like, this is how you learn. Like, you learn from your mistakes, and you're coaching photographers now, vice versa. Like, I coach people. but all we do is teach them the mistakes that we've learned. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Just don't do these, and if you do it, I've told you don't do it, and you've done it. Well done.
I do that. I've done that purposely. I'm like, go on, try that. Let me know how it goes. And I know it's not going to work, sort of thing. And I know the outcome. Sometimes you just need to feel it to know. I'm like, actually, just go and run it. It's cool. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. Like, you're not going to die. So just go and give it a go. That's it. Did it work? No. Told you so.
I knew it wouldn't, but you did it anyway. And that's the thing. If you go and do it, you go, you're the type of person that will do anything to make this happen. That's where you see a positive in it.
Yeah, 100%. If you're willing to kind of just give anything a go, for sure. But no, mate, absolutely no. I absolutely love that. It's quality. Otherwise, we could ramble all day, me and you. So it's cool.
We will, and then I won't get any work done.
But just to wrap up, if you can kind of give one piece of advice on the reason it's called the 1% is like, how can we move one step forward every day? So if you can give one piece of advice for someone to take that little one step forward every day, that 1% forward, what would it be? It's a tough question.
The thing I always go back to with all of this is my dad said to me when I was a kid, when I played football, he said to me, as long as you put 110% in, I'll never moan at you.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, if you make a mistake, he's going to be angry or upset. If you do really well, he's going to be angry, upset, or happy. It just means more than what you need to in, and at least no one can ever turn around and say it's your fault. And if they do, I was trying to do my best.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's always stuck with me.
Yeah, I love that. It's good. Whatever you do in life, just do it at 110%, because it's going to make you a better person, regardless if it's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do.
You'll either learn, or you either win or you learn.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant, mate. No, it's absolutely amazing. No, spot on. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm looking forward to seeing you throughout the year. I'll probably catch up with you quite a lot, actually, to be fair.
Yes, mate, we will do, definitely. And hopefully Mr. Boris will let us fly out to Dubai again, and come and enjoy some of that sunshine you've got.
That's it. It won't be long. Mate. Cool. Easy. I will love you and leave you, and I will speak to you in a bit.